All right, so we said we're going to talk about cost in a little while.
Yep.
Just going back to what you just said then, so if they do make some modifications, they could still end up basically with the same gown,
Yeah.
with a little bit less beading or lace,
Yep.
and
Yep.
still have a couture gown.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, the beading could be swapped from Swarovski crystals to something a little bit less expensive, or just minimise that beadwork. Handwork, anything that's time consuming always does cost a little bit extra. So we might be able to replace that with something that's a little quicker to do, but still give the effect that she wants. And fabric choice as well. Fabrics range from one end to another. So we could pick a fabric that still is going to hold the shape and give the correct feel of the gown, but might be a little bit more friendlier for her in her budget.
Okay, awesome. So, so the bride leaves that after that first appointment. What happens behind the scenes? I mean, is it ordering silk? Is it looking at patterns, or do you have to design an individual pattern for every dress?
We usually design individual patterns for every dress.
Wow.
So what would happen is once the client books, we take all her measurements that we need for that gown, and behind the scenes we spend a day drafting patterns, and then we cut out a mock-up of the dress, which is called a toile, and she'll have, which is usually made out of calico, and she'll have on her first fitting that mock-up fitting, which technically is more for us because it's mastering that pattern and it's creating a master pattern for her body. And then once that's happened, again behind the scenes, we would tear up that pattern, refine it, reshape it, and then recut into the gown. So during that time, while we're doing the toile, fabrics are being ordered, crystals, beadwork, lace, all that's getting ordered and getting in store, so then she can start to see the whole concept of colours put together and beadwork and stuff.
So it's called a toile?
It's called a toile.
T-W...
No, T-O-I-L-L-E.
Okay, toile, okay.
Yep.
So at that stage, is that just, is that the actual silk that's going to be in the dress?
No, that's just a calico.
Oh, it's all calico?
Yep, it's all
Okay.
made out of calico. If it's, for instance, a corset top and a big flowy skirt, we wouldn't do a toile in a skirt because we sort of know measurements, we don't need to do that. It would pretty much just be the top that we would be toiling on her, because that's where all the shape is, that's where the fit is, the texture. It's, I always say, sort of the most boring of the fittings, but girls generally get really excited to think that their dress starts from a piece of calico on their body into a couture gown.
So it's not, that's not the appointment where they come in and go, wow, this looks amazing.
No, some girls get very excited, but it's not. It's the one after that where then they start to see their dream dress really starting to take shape. Okay. So after that calico, it's then cut into the real fabric. Okay. So then they come back and have a dress.
So don't get excited about toiling.
I always say don't get excited about the toiling.
Very good. And so, so you've done the toiling appointment.
Yep.
And then the girls head off again, and then that's when you go to work on the actual gown.
That's where we go to work on the actual gown. So between the toile and the first fitting, it would usually be a number of weeks, sometimes up to 2 to 3 months, because there's just a lot of work on our end. So there's a lot of refining that toile pattern, and then the cutting out, putting all the layers together. I mean, a bridal couture top would probably have anywhere between 5 and 6 layers. So when you think about that, you're cutting 6 tops for every couture gown.
Wow.
So there's a lot of layers and boning and structure and a lot of handwork as well. So it is quite a little bit in between that fitting time.
Right.
But saying that we sort of make up with the wow factor that when they come it's worth the wait.
Okay, so that appointment then, there's no beading, there's no lace that stage, it's still just the actual dress.
It still is the dress. If she does have like a lace corset, the lace would be put into the dress. It wouldn't be finished off because a lot of our lace work gets done by hand and that can only be finished off when the gown is all constructed completely. Okay. But she would have some lace in there, but no beading or anything like that at this stage. Beading usually is the last thing that would go on.
Okay. So this appointment here, is this the one where you see in the movies of the girls stand up on a box, have the dress put on,
yes,
and mums and bridesmaids are there, and
yes,
yeah, okay, that's that one.
And they cry, they're so excited, and yeah, that's the one. I love that fitting. That's special to me as well. So I love that fitting.
So how far before the wedding is that one?
That one would be, I mean, if they're booking their calico 12 months beforehand, this one would probably be, I would say 8 months, 7, 8 months before the wedding.
Oh, right, so still a long way up.
Still a long way up.
So you've still got a lot of work to do.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So there's a lot more work at the cutting table at that stage that the girls don't see?
Absolutely. It's the part that, they don't get to see because it's in between the gown, but it's the really essential part of putting the gown together, and handwork and beading, even some seams, laces that have beads on it, we can't put under a machine, so they would all have to be, the beads would have to be stripped, the gown would have to be sewn, and then they'd all have to be hand beaded back on, and that takes time.
Right,
so
okay.
yeah.
So they've had that second fitting,
Yep.
and then the next one is to pick up the gown?
No, in general, in total, they probably have 4 to 5 fittings.
Oh, right, okay.
So then their one after their very first fitting would be, they'd be trying on again with some of the seams that have been finished off, have been closed. Maybe some of the beadwork would be started, and they'd get to see a little bit of that as well.
Yeah.
And then each consecutive fitting after that would be another stage of the gown that we have completed, and then we try on just to make sure everything's a perfect fit.
Right.
This gown has to fit like a glove. So it does require anywhere between 4 and 6 fittings, and your 6th one is usually your pickup.
Right, okay. And the girls can bring someone with them every time?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yep,
that's okay.
yep, absolutely.
Okay.
I think it's nice for them to share that, because generally a wedding gown is a secret. And I think girls, we do get brides who do come in on their own and never bring anybody, because they want on the day, they want to have that impact of their hair and their makeup and their bouquet and that wow factor. And we do that quite a lot with brides, but in general, mum comes along, bridesmaids do come along, so
Okay.
it's sort of nice, little girly event we call it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Unreal. So there's a lot of hours that go into each gown, even if there's not a lot of beading.
Absolutely. On average, we would probably spend, on a gown that doesn't have a lot of handwork in it, we would still be spending anywhere between 40 to 60 hours on
Wow.
each gown. A gown that has a lot of beadwork, we can spend up to 200-300 hours on a gown. So
Wow.
they do take a long time to construct.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and what about if they're coming in for like an off-the-rack style of dress?
Yeah.
So they're not, you wouldn't call those couture gowns now, are they? That's something-
We have a ready-to-wear couture line,
Okay.
which is generally our one-off sample gowns. So girls can come in and pick a colour off one, a top off another, and then we can create a gown for them. Or they can come in and actually buy our sample gowns, and they're
Right.
one-off gowns. And
They're
once-
actual couture gowns, those
Yep,
ones? Right.
yep, they are actual couture gowns. So, and once that gown is bought, we don't reproduce it. We move on and we design something else. So, and then that way girls can sort of, some girls can't visualise, and they need to purchase something that they can physically see on their bodies and not something that's on a bit of paper. So we offer that. And then we have my other label, which is KL, which is our ready-to-wear label. And they're dresses that are designed in-house but made offshore. And they're more budget-friendly for girls as well. And they can come straight in, pick out the style that they like, they pick their colour, and then we measure them up, and then we order their dress in.
Oh, so they're still made to measure?
In a sense that they're made to measure, we measure them up, the ready-to-wears are measured up, and then they would be ordered to whatever their closest size is.
Right.
I do have a factory in particular who likes to work on specific measurements. So some girls, we will actually send their measurements away, and the gown will be made to those measurements. But we do always request, use that as a guideline. There may be a couple of little tweaks here and there, like hems and.
So
if
you,
a
so
girl
you
is
do
weight-
that? You do that
Absolutely,
hemming?
we can
Okay.
do that in-house. Yeah,
Okay.
once the gown arrives, we can do all that in-house. Yeah.
So whatever they get from you, it's going to fit when they walk out?
Correct.
If it's off the rack?
Absolutely.
Or- okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We wouldn't let a gown leave the store unless it fitted beautifully and the client was happy with it.
Wow. And I just want to go back. You said there that once a gown's gone out of the store,
Yep.
then it's never reproduced again.
Yep.
Is that with every gown? Or is
Not
that-
with every gown, just the couture gowns. So we do a collection
Yeah.
every year, which is our ready-to-wear off the rack. So if a bride comes in and orders the top off that but a skirt off another, we'll make that for her. But if another bride comes in and loves that actual gown and we sell her our sample, we don't reproduce it again.
Wow.
She's
okay.
got the last of it, so to
that's
speak.
with all the couture gowns.
All the couture
they're
gowns,
one-off.
they're one-off gowns. Yep.
Wow. So
Yep.
all that work on that on the patterns,
Yep.
that's for that one bride.
For that one bride. Yep.
Wow. So,
Yep.
wow. She really is a princess for a
She
day.
really is a princess. Well, we usually find even with our collection gowns, there sometimes can be a gown that's really popular, and if 2 brides order it, we will always change something about it to make it her own gown. So we're not reproducing 2 identical gowns.
Right.
So we always try to tweak it or change something about it and just make it special for her as well. So technically they are all getting one-off gowns. We don't reproduce.